There is only love.
So that's our congregation song this month. I think Mike was doing something remotely with PowerPoint, and I think maybe he got the wrong view up there, so we'll have to work that one out. Someone text him right now. All right. So good morning. This morning's talk title, Showering Gratitude, could also be this month's theme, as Robert works on getting that up for us. So you know the old adage, April showers bring May flowers. Yeah, so that doesn't appear to be happening yet. So maybe instead it can be April drizzle brings May sizzle. After all, we do have Anton Miserak coming up this Friday for some sweet music grooves. And of course the Golden Jubilee. And who knows what flames may be kindled on the dance floor, or kindled with the Kindle in the silent auction. So all of which makes April a month of silent. You like that? I thought that was clever. So all of which make April a month of celebration, and really a celebration in gratitude. And so I am experiencing and witnessing the showering in gratitude in the outer world, in our community, and also within my own family, as well as individuals that I have been working with. So together, together we have witnessed and walked through the steepest economic downturn since the 1930s. And though there is still uncertainty around the seemingly anemic but steady recovery, the evidence is that we were first clawing and now trudging, right? So trudging being moving forward with purpose, trudging our way out of past struggle within the parameters of an expanding market metric. So the thing that got me to thinking about that was, believe it or not, we're in a housing recovery right now. And so the big marms who, the big economic poobahs who consider such things did not see this one coming 6 months ago. But it's happening. It's happening. And so what that means is that we get to shift the way that we see, experience, and perceive what's going on in our world. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because for these last several years, many of us have lived in a bit of struggle. And this does not mean that, of course, that there are not people who are still in the struggle. So I know that within my own family, unemployment, underemployment has been an issue. And my son, my sister, my brother are now all finding a place in this expanding market that has a place for them and is helping them to support themselves and others. So they're lifting themselves and lifting those around them in their family and also with their friends. So I am also witnessing within our own spiritual community signs that people are getting back, not only getting back to work, they're being hired, and some promoted, have been able to modify their mortgages, or simply learning how to live more on less. To live more on less. And we, as a spiritual community here in Granada Hills, we have learned how to live more on less. So in a time of no growth in our budget or budget cuts, our center has actually expanded in consciousness, expanded its ministry, expanded the reach of what it can do. This support shows itself in our youth program, our lay pastoral care team, our practitioner ministries, our Wednesday morning Sangha, the bereavement support group, the animal kinship group, all these things you keep hearing about in the announcements, the choir, which hit it out of the park last week, our evening classes, and now our annual spring event this year, the Golden Jubilee, where we are celebrating 50 years of this community in the San Fernando Valley, this unique community in Granada Hills. And not only are we celebrating it, but our friends from NoHo, Westlake, Simi Valley, the Los Angeles Church, and maybe even Redondo will be joining us for a celebration of New Thought teaching in the San Fernando Valley. It really is a big deal. And so if you haven't had a chance to get a ticket, and if this is your first time and you're curious, you want to check it out, you're welcome to join us. All are welcome. We still have tickets available. It's going to be a great time of music, of good food, and we'll be making a joyful noise in the Telesavalas room. So, where there's also a silent auction, and I'll let you just guess what's in the Telesavalas room. And so what I know about that is that none of these things happen if you aren't there. That all of these things are happening because you, each one of you, bring to bear your talent and your time to spiritual practice. And I hear gratitude and appreciation expressed about all of these ministries, which would not exist without your strong participation, commitment, and support. It'd just be one person yakking in an empty room if you didn't show up and support it, including Sunday morning, by the way. Thank you for being here. So, and you know what else is that the way that we share our treasure, our time, talent, treasure as spiritual practice has also shifted. So as a longtime board member, one of the things that I so appreciate about what's expressing itself in our community now is the widespread support as people accept the idea of ownership for our community, our building, the things that we're doing here, our various ministries. That the financial support has broadened as a much larger percentage of participation, say that 3 times fast, a larger percentage of participation than any, what did I just say? But whatever it is, it's getting bigger, it's expanding, it's broader, it's horizontal rather than vertical, right? It's not a handful of people keeping the doors open, but a broad base of many hands participating financially as well. And that percentage would be the envy of any nonprofit. Just saying. That's a nonprofit. So it's not just about the Benjamins. It's about the idea of expanding the consciousness of support in every area of our life and recognizing that this is some part also of our spiritual practice. This is an expansion of consciousness, whether it's recognized or not. The ability and the commitment for us to bring our time, talent, and treasure to anything is an expansion in consciousness. And so once again, we have here within our own community, within our own laboratory, an expression of the omni-activity of spirit demonstrating a delivery of consciousness, or a demonstration of consciousness, if you like, if that's more familiar. But I'm using this term delivery of consciousness on purpose, because I've often found that within my own demonstrations, both as an individual, myself, and working with others, that there is often a delivery of consciousness, a special delivery, if you like, in consciousness. That they are delivered in time rather than demonstrated instantaneously. Now, I have had instantaneous demonstrations. I have had a shift in my consciousness instantaneously that has allowed me to move into my life in a more effective way. Before the most part, it's usually Katie Graham for Mongo, and then, it's like, oh, Mongo like a lot. So they are demonstrated in time rather than instantaneously. I guess you didn't see that movie. Okay. So, I wore these wide lapels. It was a 70s movie, got the wide lapel thing going on. Okay, so they are delivered in time rather than demonstrated instantaneously. And not for the lack of participation of Spirit. Right? It's not about Spirit showering its blessings upon some more than others because some deserve it more than others. No. But according to our own acceptance of how the law works. Every time. How the law works. Every time. Impersonally and perfectly. Now, this is not always evident when we're in the struggle or the challenge. And the law works specifically to the level that we understand that everything demonstrates in our outer world as a demonstration of our own consciousness. So I've been working with this book this week, The Power of Awareness by Goddard Neville. And he has that to say, in a very big way apparently. So what that says is this, that man's chief delusion is his conviction that there are causes other than his own state of consciousness. You might, if this is what we're going to get, you might as well just turn that off there, Chief. Yeah, that's more of a distraction. Consciousness shows up really big, though. Man's chief delusion is his conviction that there are causes other than his own state of consciousness. A man's consciousness is all that he thinks and desires and loves, and all that he believes is true and consents to. A man's consciousness is all that he thinks, desires, and loves, all that he believes is true and consents to. So last week we spoke of Paul of Tarsus, who said, "Be ye transformed by the renewal of your mind." And to be transformed, the whole basis of our thought must change. Now, why is this so? Well, we just defined it. Our consciousness is all that we think, desire, and love, and all that we believe to be true and consent to. Now, if we have deeply ingrained, for instance, if we have within us thought patterns deeply ingrained within us of victim consciousness, this has to be completely destroyed to the extent that we can. If we really want to live our most effective life, we really need to know that we are not subject to or victimized by anything in our outer environment unless on some level we are choosing to be. We must be transformed by the renewing of our mind. To be transformed, the whole basis of our thought must change. And we can't do this, however, until we have new ideas. For as Neville points out, we think from our ideas. And then we demonstrate from that which we think. So be ye transformed. All transformation begins with an intense, burning desire to be transformed. And you know what? It may look like you're angrily shouting, "I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore." It might be that. Anger can be a dynamic change agent. It can be a dynamic catalyst to change. And it may be inspired by love, joy, frustration, or even, I suppose, envy. You know, the Greek philosopher Pythagoras taught that man is motivated by three main things: the pursuit of gain, honor, or wisdom. The pursuit of gain, honor, of wisdom. So the higher realms of that idea, and maybe the not so high realms of that idea. So whatever motivation we are using, the energy generated by that intense feeling is what moves us into action. So it'll either move us into the depths of depression or move us to the heights of joy, creativity, intelligence, new and creative ideas. That intense feeling that moves us into action. So Neville says this, that the first step in transformation then is desire. The first step is desire, and the second step then is that we must make our future dream, our future image, our future idea, we must make our future dream a present fact. We must make our future dream a present fact. So here's a helpful tactic in that regard. We must assume the feeling of our need or our desire as fulfilled. We must assume the feeling of our need or desire fulfilled. So this is Neville. So by desiring to be other than you are, you can create an ideal of the person you want to be and assume that you are already that person. And Neville calls this the power of assumption. Now, those of us who have been involved in corporate training classes know that we are also to be on the alert for this word assume. For many of us have been told that assume makes of you and me. Right? But this is a different usage. This saying is to remind us to check our facts. To check our facts before making judgments or decisions. So assume then is defined actually as to take upon oneself. To take upon oneself. Now, it's not as clever, but what this corporate teaching around assume is actually presume. Because presume is to take upon oneself without leave or warrant. To take for granted. Right? So we're not presuming anything before we move into the assumption stage. We are assuming. We are taking a new idea upon ourselves. And as we would put on a new shirt or a new dress, we are putting on the new man, as Paul would say. Putting on the seamless garment. So to put the power of assumption within the modern vernacular then, and this I first heard this in 12-step, is that we're acting as if. So and that can feel false, right? That can feel like, who do you think you are? That inner voice inside of us saying, who are you kidding, Jack? I know who you really are. This is not helpful. This is the part that needs to be transformed. This is the part that needs to be really completely surrendered. So that in this idea of using the power of assumption, the idea that we want to achieve is always ready for incarnation. But unless we offer it human parentage, it is incapable of birth. Neville was a poet. Can you hear it? The idea, right now, as I'm speaking, there's some ideal within you that's longing to be expressed. Right? Either wealth, health, creative expression, or in relationship. It's very rare that the wheel of Dharma is spinning perfectly for everyone without a little flat spot somewhere. The idea that we want to achieve is always ready for an incarnation. But unless we offer it human parentage, it is incapable of birth. So there's a co-creative process that we are engaged in. That just as we cannot be here without having been born, right? That our mothers had to give birth to us. Just as we must give birth to our own new idea. That our ideas must have human parentage. Why? Because this is the field we're playing in. So we know this to be true. Yes? We know this to be true. Don't we hear it every Sunday in class, in Abraham? Right? Hell, she's even saying it on Oprah now. Right? It's everywhere. And it's presented like it's some kind of magic. That if we simply wave the wand of consciousness, our wishes materialize out of nothing. Shazam! The idea we hope to achieve is always ready for incarnation, but unless we offer it human parentage, it is incapable of birth. We know this. And in giving birth to our idea, we must bear in mind that the methods of mental and spiritual knowledge are entirely different. So this is an interesting concept that Neville presents here. That mental and spiritual knowledge are different. So we know a thing mentally by looking at it from where? From the outside. By comparing it to other things. By analyzing it and defining it. This is the scientific method, yes? Right? That we are looking at things objectively, from outside, comparing it. Coal to dirt clod. Coal to diamond. Same thing. Right? Same element. Different substance. Different qualities. One's dark, one's clear, one's kind of soft. The other one's super hard. So, we know that by looking at it from the outside, by comparing it with other things, by analyzing it and defining it. This is how we know. This is how we know mental knowledge. Whereas when we know a thing spiritually, we can only know a thing spiritually by becoming it. We can only know a thing spiritually by becoming it. That we must be the thing itself and not merely talk about it or look at it. That we must be like the moth in search of its idol, the flame, who spurred with true desire. So the moth spurred with true desire, plunging at once into the sacred fire, folded his wings within, till he became one color and one substance with the flame. He only knew the flame who in it burned, and only he could tell, who never tell, returned. This is Rumi, 9th century. So we must move into the flame, into the sacred flame. Just as a moth in his desire to know the flame was willing to destroy himself, we must become willing to be the new person. We must be willing to die to our present self. This is transformation. We must surrender ourselves to the sacred flame. That flame that transforms rather than consumes. The power of assumption to put on in our imagination that which we desire to be. Our imagine is the thing that sets us apart from other creatures. The ability to see things as they currently are and say, why not make it different? To sit in the recognition of gratitude for the many blessings in our life, give witness to the creative power of Spirit already demonstrating in our life, and assuming the mantle of the next big thing as already done, as a living, omniactive testimonial to the prospering power of Spirit, to the creative power of Spirit, to the healing power of Spirit. So I want you to repeat after me right now. I live and have my being in the prospering power of Spirit. I live and have my being in the prospering power of Spirit. Okay, now let's make like it's 2 in the afternoon instead of 9:48. One more time. I live and have my being in the prospering power of Spirit. I live and have my being in the creative power of Spirit. Changed up on you. I live and have my being in the creative power of Spirit. One more here. I live and have my being in the healing power of Spirit. I live and have my being in the healing power of Spirit. Right now, every day, in every way. Right now, every day, in every way. So, oh, be strong then and brave, pure, patient, and true. The work that is yours, let no other hand do. For the strength of all need is faithfully given from the fountain within you, the kingdom of heaven. That's Neville, not me. Isn't that nice? That's from the power of awareness. So with that, just moving into that for a moment. I live and have my being in the healing power, the prospering power, the creative power of Spirit. And so we recognize that there is that within ourselves that needs to be surrendered to the flame. And so today we practice assuming, putting on that next new big idea that we want in our life. We practice assuming that the new man or woman that we know ourselves to be, if we had the courage to step into it, and we do, that we really contemplate and understand that this assumption, this power of assumption then, is simply allowing Spirit to do its thing by means of our life, right now, every day, in every way.
There is only